Welcome to MacStories Unwind, a weekly review of everything MacStories and more. This episode is brought to you by Shake. I'm John Voorhees, and with me, of course, is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
Another week down. I mean, I think, this was I guess with the U.S. election, everybody's attention was elsewhere, and we didn't have a lot of news come out this week, so we have a few fewer stories than usual. But
somehow you guys keep taking over our news as well.
I know. It's big news everywhere.
As if we didn't have enough things to worry about ourselves in Italy
I know.
right now.
Tell me about it, I'm sure. But you know what? Next week, we've got an Apple event. So we're going to, it'll be our time again to have a little bit of tech news. But it's not like we had none. At the tail end of the week last week, right after we published this podcast, I wrote a story about Apple One because Apple One launched on last Friday. And it's a little weird because, for instance, the Premier tier, which is the one that I signed up for, includes Fitness Plus, but Fitness Plus is nowhere to be found yet. I'm not sure what's going on there. I guess that maybe will be I don't know what that. I kind of thought maybe that would be an iOS 14.2 thing, and we'll talk about iOS 14.2 in a minute. But I'm not sure what we're waiting for with Fitness Plus. But that's still coming this fall, so Apple's got a little time, I guess. But Apple One, that is the subscription bundle. There are 3 tiers. There's an individual tier, a family tier, and a Premier tier. And as you go up to the different levels, you get more storage on iCloud Drive, different services are bundled in, and the savings get greater at the top end. And I think the Premier tier is $30 a month. I was already paying that between my iCloud Drive subscription and Apple Music Family Plan and and Apple Arcade. So for me, adding News Plus and Fitness Plus was just kind of a bonus. And I'm actually really looking forward to Fitness Plus because, we're heading into the winter and I don't expect to be going outside to do much exercising in the snow. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy Fitness Plus and be able to use that over the course of the winter to stay at least partially in shape while we're somewhat stuck at home still.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for Apple One Premier. I think I mentioned this before because I don't want to mess up the thing I got going with my Italian Apple ID and US Apple ID, both working together, and have been working together for the past few years. And I really don't want to mess it up because I don't know what's going to happen if I sign up for Apple One. I don't know. I want to see if anybody with my same setup writes about it first. And if it works, I will probably consider it. But for now, I don't think I can even sign up from Italy because Apple News Plus is not available here. Therefore,
right.
Premier, I cannot sign up for unless it signs me up in US dollars. But then again, if it signs me up in US dollars, what happens to my Italian account where I'm paying for iCloud storage in euros right now? It's messy. So I want to see.
It is messy.
I want to see what happens.
My storage got moved over to I believe it was my iCloud account. It was fairly seamless and didn't disrupt anything, but I don't have the same kind of different. I don't live at One Infinite Loop or on Google's campus or wherever it is you live.
Yeah, so, I think I believe I now live at Infinite Loop still. I haven't moved to Apple Park yet.
Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping you'd get a nice office with a view of that stage.
No, I mean, look, it's better there now, right? It's just me by myself with my fake account. Nobody's looking for me. Everybody's focused on Apple Park.
All right, well, that's good. Oh man,
I'm just lurking there in the parking lot.
Right. You're hoping that someone will write about this. And who besides you is going to write about this, Federico?
Look, there must be, if you're out there, I know you are. I know that 5 of you are somewhere with an Italian account for iCloud storage, but a US-based Apple ID for the App Store and Apple TV Plus and other services. Because basically, this is my situation, right? My main iCloud account, which I use for syncing data and for iCloud storage, which I also share with family sharing, is an Italian account.
Right.
My services account, which means the App Store, Apple Music, Apple TV, all services, is based in the US. Because 10 years ago, when I started MacStories, I really needed to download apps from the US App Store because many of them were not available in Italy. So if you're European, you don't have to be Italian. If you're European and you have a European primary account, but also you're using US services, let me know. Write me in private. You don't have to write about it publicly. I know that it's, even though I'm talking about it publicly, but this is all hypothetical, right?
Right. It's all hypothetical.
Right? This is all an hypothesis that we are sharing on the podcast. But
I'll tell you.
Get in touch with me.
Yeah, it's still very complex having split Apple IDs for the services and the rest of everything else. And that's my situation, but at least they're all in the same country. I hate to think what it would be like having them under two different jurisdictions like that. But all right, Federico, what did we get with iOS 14.2?
So we got the intercom feature that you wrote about a couple of weeks ago for the HomePod and iPhone. All kinds of Apple devices can now get into the intercom action. You can leave messages and you can listen to those messages. Really nicely done. 100 new emoji. Again, as you can imagine, I tried to guess all of this on Connected a few weeks back. Some of the highlights include the hand with pinched fingers, which is the Italian gesture for what are you saying, basically.
Right.
I don't remember the other highlights except the thing called
bubble tea.
Bubble tea that a lot of people seem to know. I don't. I also showed it to my girlfriend. She confirmed that it looked absolutely gross, as I argued on Connected. There's a bunch of other emoji. You can go check it out. What else is new in 14.2? Oh, well, completely redesigned mini player for the Now Playing module of Control Center and the lock screen. It now features bigger artwork. It now features redesigned AirPlay 2 controls. So there's a new button called Control Other Speakers. If you have multiple HomePods around the house, they're not shown by default anymore. When you open the Now Playing module in Control Center, you need to press a button, and then it's the same UI as before.
Right.
It's a list of speakers. But also the Now Playing module, it now features suggestions for music and podcasts when nothing is playing. So when no audio is playing, you can start an album or you can start a podcast episode by just pressing these new recommendations in the Now Playing accessory. Really nicely done. I like it. And the bigger artwork is also very nice. Unfortunately, it seems that third-party developers cannot be recommended in there. Third-party audio from third-party apps cannot be recommended in there, which is a shame.
Yeah, that is a shame.
14.2, and like I'm thinking, because I don't have the article here with me, oh yes, Shazam integration in Control Center. That is also new. There's a new music recognition toggle that you can enable in Control Center settings. And when you're listening to a song, any song, you can, instead of opening the Shazam app and pressing the button there, you can just open Control Center, press the new music recognition toggle, close Control Center, and when the system is done recognizing your song, you will get a notification. You can press the notification and you will see the song in Shazam. Now, this is impressive, not just because it's the first kind of system level Shazam. Well, not the first. We already had Siri integration. But it's a major kind of system integration for Shazam now that it's part of Apple. You know, Apple owns Shazam. It's impressive because now that it's a system feature, it can do something that it was never able to do before as a third-party app, which is the music recognition toggle in Control Center. It can recognize audio even through your headphones. So even if no music is playing through the iPhone speakers, if you're wearing headphones, if you're wearing AirPods, the music recognition feature will recognize the song, even if nothing is coming out of the device's speakers. This is impressive because it means Shazam can now actually listen to the audio stream inside your phone, right? Even if you're wearing headphones. It's remarkable. It's impressive. Like so many times I was watching a movie or watching a YouTube video and there was a song in the background, but I was wearing headphones and I couldn't Shazam it, right? I needed to remove my headphones and I needed to Shazam the song and put my headphones back on. Now you can just use the Control Center Shazam feature and it's so well done. So 14.2, there's a bunch of other fixes and updates. Go update, it's available now. iPhone and iPad, of course. It's a really nice update, I think. I want to see what they do in 14.3, but I like this one.
Interesting. The other nice touch that I like, too, with the Now Playing is that it has a little icon showing you what app is playing the audio, which is just kind of, especially now that you can switch up your default streaming services and stuff, it's just a nice way to know what you're listening to. Maybe you're listening to Overcast, and then you switch over to Castro, and then back to Apple Music. It kind of keeps you understanding exactly where you happen to be and whatever audio you're listening to. All right, Federico. Speaking of streaming services, this week Pandora got an update, and now you can make Pandora your default music streaming service on your HomePod. And I don't know about you, I've never really been a Pandora user. I've played around with the app, but I've never really used it. And it's really interesting the way this works. It works very well, but it's a little hidden because you have to go into the Home app, then you have to find your home settings, then you have to find the person who is the default person for your home, because you can invite other people to share your home setup. And for that, it happens to be me. And if I tap on my profile picture, I can go in and there's a section called Media. And in the media section, mine lists Apple Music. But you can, if you install the Pandora app, you can set on 14.1, I think it's called, your preferred music service or your preferred service. And in 14.2, it's called your default service. And you can set it up to be something other than Apple Music, depending on which apps you have installed that support it. And right now, that's only Pandora. The interesting thing about it is that once you've got this set up, first of all, any Siri commands to your HomePod for music will now automatically play Pandora without saying, play such and such on Pandora. So that's nice. But you can actually delete the Pandora app and it still works. It still uses Pandora as the default service. And I don't really care, I guess, because I don't use Pandora, but it's nice that people have a choice. I just wish it wasn't quite so buried in the settings, because it's not. It actually took me a little while to find it. Pandora wrote it up on their website, but it's not obvious. You don't go into your HomePod settings, for instance, which is kind of the first place I looked.
Yeah. Do you think Spotify is going to do this? I mean, they have to, right? Well, they don't have to, but it would be very surprising if they don't.
Exactly. I mean, Spotify, obviously, and Apple are not getting along particularly well these days, with Spotify complaining about Apple to the EU. And I don't know if that's impacting this, but Spotify's been pretty slow at adopting new technologies. They just, this past week, added to their Watch app the ability to stream without an iPhone. So, that's not a particularly new feature, but it is to Spotify.
Yeah, well, I believe Pandora is another of those things that I cannot use in Italy. So,
I wasn't sure if maybe it's US only?
I think so. Well, it's been for a very long time, I think.
It's been around for a long time. I'm surprised they haven't rolled it out more internationally than that.
Yeah.
All right, Federico, it's worth mentioning, too, that next week is shaping up to be a pretty busy week because, at least according to Mark Gurman on Twitter, Monday should be the day that iPhone 12 mini and Pro Max phones drop in terms of reviews. So the phones won't be in people's hands until Friday, but he says that review units are out there and that those first reviews will happen that day. So we'll have to be keeping an eye out for that Monday morning. And then, of course, Tuesday is the event itself, and we anticipate, I think, along with the rest of the world, that it's going to be Apple Silicon Max, which, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Apple has in store for that. I mean, we really, when you think about it, we really don't know many details about what this is going to entail, but it should be interesting. And then, of course, we're going to need Big Sur to run on those Apple Silicon Macs. So I'm expecting that Apple is going to finally release Big Sur very soon, if not the day of the event, maybe a day or two after.
The day after, for sure.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, well, that's what they did with iOS, right? And I expect they'll do the same thing.
I mean, they did it with iOS. Why not, right? And also, when you think about it, it's going to be 11.11, and it's macOS 11. So
oh,
it's
look at
November
that. How
11,
about that?
macOS 11. I mean, it's too good an opportunity to pass up.
And they'll release it at 11 a.m. maybe.
I mean, they should do it. Why not? I mean, at this point, just go all in and might as well just do it. The next, I'll tell you what, though. At the very least, this time around, they basically told developers, look, this is coming. And they opened up submissions on the Mac App Store yesterday. So, this is happening next week. It's obvious. And I think at this point, just do it on 11.11 because the numbers work out quite nicely.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Federico, we also had an episode 192 of App Stories this week where you and I talked.
Oh, we're going to be 200 soon, John.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's going to be not until 2021, though. I was looking at the calendar the other day because we're going to take a couple of weeks off during the holidays, but we'll be back. Well, I think it hits sometime in the middle of January. But we talked about how widgets are changing the way we use our devices. And I think, the short version is they've changed the way we use our iPhones quite a bit. Not so much when it comes to the iPad and the Mac. And I think not at all when it comes to you and the Mac, but a little bit for me and the Mac. So interesting episode, slightly different perspective on widgets, not just what they do, but how they change our behavior and the way we use those devices.
Yeah, and I'm still tweaking my widget layout.
Oh,
I still don't think I'm finished. I don't think I will ever be finished. Like it took me, when you think about it, it took me years with the old home screen, with just the icons. It took me years to come up with an approach that more or less worked for me. First page, second page, and then folders. But it took me like a decade to settle on that. Like
right.
Understand this is what I like. And widgets came out 2 months ago, right? So it's going to take me a long time to understand what do I want to do here with widgets. How is this changing the way that I use my phone and my iPad, and more so on the phone? So I don't think we will be finished anytime soon, and it does feel like this is the kind of thing that we will be revisiting on App Stories on a regular schedule for the next few
10 years.
Yeah, probably. Yes.
All right. Wow, boy. Look forward to that. All right. This week on the Club, Federico, we had a bunch of different stuff. One of my favorite stories was Alex Guillot, who he revisited Doodle Jump. Doodle Jump's been around forever. I think like 8-9 years, something like that. And he's been playing the game again. It has a whole bunch of different themes, a pirate theme, a World Cup theme, all these different themes, which not only make the game look different, but also play differently. And so he's been playing through that game and wrote that up on the site as our favorite. And then you had some interesting shortcuts. I know you had one that was for archiving web pages as images using a really interesting API that you found on the web, right?
Yeah, it's this web service called API Flash that allows you to turn any link into a screenshot of a web page. And you have a bunch of options that you can configure, such as the file format, the quality of the JPEG, whether you want to capture a full page or not. And before you prepare your tweet to tell me, you can do this on your iPhone and iPad. But yes, I know. You can take a screenshot of a full page by taking a screenshot and in Safari and then switching to the full page, and exporting the screenshot.
Right.
I know that. The thing is, I am one step ahead of you because I've been trying to do this for a long time, and I have filed many raiders, and I have told several people at Apple about this. That screenshot generation technique for full pages in Safari, it always fails for very long web pages, such as reviews of stuff on MacStories.
Right.
Any article that is above, I believe I counted once, but basically like anything that is like 7,000 or 8,000 words, iOS and iPadOS will not be able to capture with the full page screenshot approach. On the other hand, this shortcut, an API Flash, has absolutely no problem converting a review such as the iPad Air review that I did a few weeks ago, for example, into a very, very, very long JPEG. So you can actually capture one of my reviews on a single page as a screenshot using this shortcut.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, I think we have an episode of App Stories from either May or June of this year.
It was May.
Okay, yeah, because we went through some of your initial research tools for the review, and we had this whole back and forth about how to deal with screenshots, and discovered the limitations of that method that you were just describing. Yeah, it's a shame that doesn't work better, because it's really formatted quite nicely. It's just that you can't be certain that you're going to get the entire web page if it's of any significant length. Also, this week in MacStories Weekly, I did an extension column all about iOS apps on the Mac and what I expect they're going to look like, why, how they're going to fit in with existing apps and that sort of thing. Just kind of imagining what Apple has up its sleeve for us, which we haven't seen, but we'll see soon enough. So I guess next week you can tell me how I was wrong, Federico. Maybe you can do that for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we get to our Unwind picks, Federico, I want to tell you about Shake. This episode of Unwind, and all of MacStories for that matter this week, is brought to you by Shake. Shake is a tool for tracking down bugs and fixing them, because you know what? That's critical for an app's success. And too often, identifying and resolving them is an inefficient mess. With Shake, you can streamline the process and get better data at the same time, allowing you to resolve more issues more quickly and more efficiently. Shake is an API that you add to your app, and it allows your users to submit comprehensive bug reports in just seconds, just by shaking their phone. They shake it, the UI pops up, you can customize the way it looks, and it eliminates incomplete, vague bug reports that you get. Maybe you get them over email, or maybe somebody tweets at you, or maybe you just, heard from a friend who heard from a friend that something didn't work in your app. It takes all of that kind of guesswork and vagueness out of it. And, the users can communicate problems both by screenshots and things like screen recordings with markup tools. It's a really nice integration. Bug reports are also supplemented with a ton of useful data that's delivered instantly in a beautifully designed web dashboard, so that you and your team can chat about the bugs, assign them, tag them, and prioritize them, making sure that they all get taken care of. Shake also integrates seamlessly with other tools that you're already using, things like Jira and Slack, Azure, and even Trello. And of course, as I already mentioned, it's customizable, so you can make it look the way you want. It's a powerful set of tools, and people have reported that it can actually help you resolve bugs 50 times faster than you've ever been able to do so in the past. So go try out Shake. It's free to try without any limitations of its standard features, but you can also upgrade to a premium plan at any time to add more attachments and tags per bug report, and unlimited viewing and searching of bugs, and a full activity history. So try out Shake today. It's a fast, efficient way to get your bugs reported. That URL is shakebugs.com. Our thanks to Shake for their support of the show.
All right, John, I have a music pick for you.
Oh, nice. I could use some music. I've been looking for something new. What do you have?
Okay, so this is the first album by a new band. They're called Girlfriends, and the album is also called Girlfriends.
Easy enough to remember.
Easy enough to remember. So this is an exceptional, I want to say, pop punk rock album. It's like a more pop take on something like Blink 182. And in fact, Travis Barker is featured on the album in one of the tracks. So this is Travis Mills. You may be familiar with this name because he also has he has a program on Apple Music One. I don't remember the name of the show, but Travis Mills is on Apple Music One. He made a name for himself back in the MySpace days with the original emo scene, and then he signed with the label, and he participated in the Warped tour, I believe. So anyway, he's back, and he teamed up with Nick Gross, which is a music producer. They formed this band called Girlfriends, and the first album is just amazing. It's a very upbeat and energetic pop punk album. There's not a single bad song on this record. I've been listening obsessively over the past week. Like I've listened to the whole thing from start to finish, I believe more than 10 times already.
Oh, wow.
Some of the highlights from the album, let me see. For sure, California, one of the singles, is also a really fun video. California is really good. Jessica is really good. I also like Stay a While and Farewell. But really, all of them are super good. Like, there's not a single bad track on this record. And they're all kind of short and compact and fun. Put it on, first track, leave it on. It's going to take you, 40 minutes or something? 37 minutes. So, really fast-paced album. And many of the choruses and the hooks will stay with you. It's super fun, really well done. It puts me at least in a good mood. And you will likely find yourself humming along with some of the song. California, for example, Apple Night, also very. Yeah, I like all of them. So just go listen; it's very good. Perfect for the HomePod as you're doing stuff around the house, for example.
Oh, that sounds great.
I should say it was recommended to me by friend of the show, friend of all of our shows, Kyle Seth Gray. So thank you, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
For recommending this to me. Appreciate it.
Kyle has very good taste in music. All right, Federico, I want to tell you about Queen's Gambit, a show on Netflix. It's I think it's a 9-episode mini-series of sorts that is all about chess. So this has gotten
I've seen this mentioned on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, it's gotten a fair amount of press, and it's also been promoted quite a bit by Netflix. But it's about a woman who is who's an orphan, and she grows up in an orphanage, and she discovers chess along the way, and it turns out she's a chess genius, really, and it's just a very interesting story about her growing up in this orphanage where they feed the kids tranquilizers, and she gets hooked on tranquilizers, and it's an interesting story in that it's kind of this combination of a troubled genius mind that the drugs help her visualize chess moves, and she literally lies in bed as a kid imagining chess matches playing out on the ceiling upside down above her head, and that's part of the way she learns how to play chess. And as she gets older, she starts playing in competitions and just sweeping the floor with really good chess players. And I'm not all the way through it yet. I don't want to give up any spoilers, but it's very well done. It's set. I want to say it's set. I'm trying to remember if it's set in the 60s or the 70s, but it's not today. But it's just really well done. And I watched the first 3 or 4 of these and have put them down for a little while, but planning this weekend to kind of polish it all off. So it's definitely a good drama and an interesting look at the whole idea of geniuses and people who are like artists and having a troubled past that goes maybe an addictive personality that goes along with that. Kind of a lot of food for thought there. So I've really enjoyed it. It's entertaining.
Yeah, nice. I should add it to my list.
Right.
Sylvia and I have also been meaning to watch. This is not an Unwind pick because I still haven't watched it.
Okay.
But some of our favorite TV shows have started up again, right? And
sure.
So Superstore, which
yes, I saw that started.
It started up again, and they're talking about the theme of this new season is coronavirus. Like they're actually addressing that on the show. And also Young Sheldon started up again, as well as Mom. But Mom lost her one of her lead characters, Anna Faris, exited the show. So now it's just the mom, literally, the older mother on the show. She's played by Allison Janney. Is that her name? I think it is her name. Anyway, Mom, Young Sheldon, Superstore. But I also saw this new show on Netflix called, I think, Emily in Paris. And from the trailer, has Jennifer been watching it,
yes,
John?
She's been watching it.
Oh, there you go. Please ask her if it's good, and based on her recommendation, we will also start it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Federico. Well, that's a good place to stop for this week. I want to thank our sponsor again for MacStories and Unwind this week, which is Shake. You can find me and Federico over on MacStories.net. Federico is on Twitter and Instagram, where he's at Vitici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.